Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is God's true name and the name of His only begotten Son. I want to give double honors to my teachers, the apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to all the Akim and the 130 Yasharal out there. In this lesson, I want to go ahead and I'm going to make this video a bit long because so I'm going to break this up into 3 videos, but I want to get into the differences between the Bible, namely the first 5 books of the Bible, or the books which Moses, our forefather, wrote, versus what is being practiced today by the so-called Jews, the Babylonian Talmud. Now, besides the Talmud, they also practice something else called the Kabbalah, and that's more of the mysticism stuff, but I'm going to be getting into more of that later. So when I say the so-called Jews, I'm talking about these people in power, the people who control the world, all the industries, who just happen to lead all these massive multinational conglomerate companies that run governments from atop. They're known biblically as the Amalekites. This is actually image from the 1611 Bible that shows the lineage of the Amalekites, who come from Amalek, who's explained in Exodus 17 and 8. Explains how he comes from Eliphaz, who is the son of Esau. Now Esau is the brother to Jacob, or Israel, who today the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans descend from. Now Esau is the progenitor of the Edomite race, right? So you have your Caucasians, and then you got your what we call today so-called Jews, which at one time were known as Khazars, back when they used to still inhabit the Caucasus Mountains, which is between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, basically north of Israel, in that area. Turkey's down over here. Now, it tells you in 722 BC, this is when the northern tribes, or who we would know today as the Latinos and Native Americans, were expelled out of the northern land of Israel, and we were taken captives into Assyria, which is north east of Israel, right? This is where you get the book of Tobit from, the book of Judith, I believe comes from there, and then so on. And then about a little under over 100 years later, the southern tribe, who we would know today as the so-called Negroes, were taken to Babylon in 586 BC. But then they eventually came back, and they stayed in Israel for a bit long, until the birth of Yahweh Shai, who is the true name of the Messiah, when he came and then eventually he was crucified, and he died for the sins of Israel only his people, who are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. In 70 AD, you had the Romans take down the temple, which eventually led to a scattering and taking us into slavery for the southern tribes, who again we know today as the Negroes. Now, fast forward to 740 AD, and you have these Khazars, basically doing a mass conversion to the religion, or they created a religion out of what was once known as a heritage of these now lost people that have been lost for a little under 700 years. It goes on, and they take the identity, trying to ward off their Christian and Islam neighbors. Now, that's why Kagan which basically just means king, or Kagan, or King Bulan of Khazaria. He did this conversion is because of his neighbors. Now, about 200 years later, his neighbors, or the Rush, eventually do destroy the Amalekites and then spread these people out through Europe. And this is when you get the influx of so-called Jews into Spain, who was already being inhabited by Jake, because by that time the Spanish Empire had basically just came out of the East, known formerly as the Holy Roman Empire, which came from Rome. It was one part of what Rome came out of. Now, it kind of goes forward, and you you have the history of today. You kind of just pause this video and read on, but I want to get into some scriptures. There's Mark 7:7. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Right? So, and that's what these people do. They pretend to study the Bible, and they pretend to be all pious, but they don't. They worship what's known as the Talmud. Now, the Talmud is a series of I think it's like 36 volumes, and these are basically just a collection of sayings and writings from previous rabbis who came in since the conversion of the Khazarians, right? Basically the top Caucasian tribe, who we call today the so-called Jews. Now, they also study something else called the Kabbalah. It's you probably heard about it in its book. It has a book called the Zohar. You have that one so-called Jewish comedian, Adam Sandler, made a movie with its name, and you definitely have seen it in on TV, because you have a lot of these TV stars who practice it. But like I said again, these people, they practice everything but the Bible. They only know the Bible because of what they reference, right? Most of the things that they study are things discussing or trying to disprove the Bible, right? That's what the Kabbalah is. And let's get into what this Talmud actually is. The Wikipedia says the Talmud is a central text of rabbinic Judaism. Judaism being the made-up religion of a heritage in 740, when Kagan converted everybody. The term Talmud normally refers to a collection of writings named specifically the Babylonian Talmud. Talmud Bevi, although there is also an earlier collection known as Jerusalem Talmud, or Palestinian Talmud, when referring to the post-biblical periods during which the Talmud was being compiled. Those of the Talmudic academies and the Babylonian exilrites. Jewish sources used the terms Babylonia long before the geopolitical obsolescence. So the Talmud and also these collections here, just like it's kind of like what the Kabbalah is today, which is basically an interpretation and stuff. So, for example, it goes all the way back from Babylon, right? Writings that go all the way back, and this is what, like, from wicked people back in those days that kept these paganistic magic, and basically just some of it just rants from Babylon, but for most of the part, it's the earlier parts were found by the converts, and they seen that they vibed with this wickedness more, and this is why you have 36 versions of the Talmud, not additional books to the Bible, because again, they don't worship the real Bible, the Torah, right? They worship their own books, the understanding of men, or the precepts of men. Now, like I was saying, here's a rabbi here. He's actually making a Kabbalah talisman, right? Basically what they consider like magic or protection. Now, with this protection, you see it, like here's another one and stuff, right? It's a prayer, and you get that red string, right? And that's where you see all these movie stars, people wearing those red strings. So you know, it's all over. You know, popular places, the people in power, right? Here's a so-called Jew admitting what he actually, you know, worshipped or studies.
כתוב בתלמוד, אני לא יודע, זה מה שאמרו לי, בבבא מציע, שהיהודים הם בני אדם והגויים הם לא בני אדם, הם חיות. האם זה נכון או לא נכון? הם בני אדם, הם בני אדם.
יש לנו מצווה להיות אנשים מוסריים, אני יותר טוב את הישר, לא צריך סתם לרמות כל העולם ולעבוד את כולם.
He's just saying here how you get cheap. This is
זה כתוב בתלמוד, אני לא יודע,
religious Jews talk about the Talmud, right? So this guy here, like, you know, it's a common thing that that's what these people study, right? They all go and this is a book of their people. This is another guy also just talking about the Kabbalah. In the Kabbalah it says, he goes on to say how the priests or, you know, going out from the temple would be commanded to wipe their brains, or basically you know, forget what they learned to go back at living amongst the people. So shit like that, right? So they study the Kabbalah. Like I said, the Kabbalah is a esoteric way of looking at the 5 books of Moses, right? They basically try to decipher the Bible codes, the number of texts, what certain things mean, and they try to find deeper meanings into it. And ultimately, it's a understanding of what they believe will lead them into, you know, heaven without having to go through God, right? It's ultimately it's witchcraft. That's basically what it is, you know. And this is the stuff that you see with that little hand and stuff. That's what this means. You know, this is a talisman here and stuff. So like I said again, it's all over, you know. And this is all started off because of these so-called Amalekites, right? The people who today call themselves the Jews. This is what Revelations 2:9 has to say about this. This is Revelations 2:9. I know thy afflictions and your poverty, yet ye are rich. I know about the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So that's a real quick primer, and the next videos I'm going to go ahead and get into the Talmud, and I'm going to get into the Kabbalah, so we understand a little bit better about those individual books. So hope this video was edifying. Shalom, Akim.